This is CBC Here and Now.
Researchers believe they discovered the remains of a Newfoundland soldier killed in France in 1917. But this mystery won't be easy to solve without DNA proof.
We would love to be able to give him his name back.
I'm Terry Roberts. I'll have that story coming up.
Wild animals being fed near roads or parking lots will lose their fear of those roads, and then there's a high chance of them being killed by motor vehicles.
Why feeding animals like foxes in the wild is killing them, with kindness coming up on Here and Now.
Nonprofits across this province are starting to feel the squeeze heading into the holiday season. Demand is up, and in some cases, donations are down. I'm here at the Community Foods Sharing Association, and I'll have more tonight on Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. A World War I mystery going back 108 years might have connections to Harvey Road in St. John's. Historians say there's a good chance that human remains found 9 years ago in northern France are those of a Newfoundlander who fought for Canada in the First World War. Terry Roberts reports.
A St. John soldier who was killed in 1917 has caught the attention of historians as they try to identify human remains recovered in northern France. And as more stones are overturned, the mystery only deepens. 9 years ago, a full set of remains were discovered near Luce, a suburb of the French city of Lille. Some of the items found with the remains were very personal: a pocket comb, nail clippers, a decayed boot. But this was the biggest clue: uniform collar tags, proving the soldier served with the 13th Battalion of the Quebec-based Royal Highlanders of Canada. The remains are from a man between the ages of 20 and 24, who stood between 5'5" and 5'8½". Early on, the casualty identification team in Ottawa determined there were 46 possible candidates. That's how many members of the 13th Battalion are missing from what's known as the Battle of Hill 70, which took place in this same area in August 1917. Canadian casualties numbered in the thousands during that battle, and many were never identified or found because of the heavy use of artillery and poison gas. Researchers have methodically eliminated one potential candidate after another, both by studying the bones and, in some cases, comparing the DNA of this unknown soldier with surviving family members of the original 46 candidates.
The list of candidates was about 20 or so, and we've been able to eliminate most of those candidates.
But there's one soldier they've been unable to rule out, and he's a Newfoundlander. We don't have any photos of him, but he enlisted with the Canadian Expeditionary Force in Valcartier, Quebec in September 1914 as George Patrick Kirk. He lists St. John's, Newfoundland as his hometown and describes himself as a miner from Nova Scotia. He was killed on the first day of the Battle of Hill 70, August 15, 1917. His name is carved into the Vimy Memorial, along with more than 11,000 other Canadian soldiers who died in France and have no known grave. But now he's caught the attention of this historian because these boots may have been worn by Private Kirk. He may have tidied his black hair with this pocket comb.
There are a number of candidates left to test, but Private Kirk is right within the anthropological profile.
But there's a problem. McKinnon and her team have not been able to track down any of Private Kirk's descendants in order to arrange for DNA testing. And now there are questions about this soldier's real name. The issue? His next of kin is written here as Mrs. Thomas Quirk, not Kirk. Kirk was Roman Catholic, but there are no baptismal records at the St. John's Archdiocese for a George Patrick Kirk born in the winter of 1894. So we have the surname Kirk. Quirk. There's even a reference in this soldier's service records to the last name Quick. So yes, confusing, but not uncommon for this era. But there are records for a Patrick Quirk, who was born a year later in March 1895.
Patrick Quirk and George Patrick Kirk seem to possibly be the same person. Patrick Quirk, however, was illegitimate. He was born to a George Humphreys and Anne Quirk, with Anne living on Harvey Road in St. John's.
At some point, the remains of the 13th Battalion soldier will be buried in France with full military honors. McKinnon hopes she can identify the soldier before that happens, and his family can be present during the funeral.
We would love to be able to give him his name back. He's been unknown for a long time.
So if you're a descendant of George Patrick Kirk, or maybe it's Patrick Quirk, the Casualty Identification Program in Ottawa would like to hear from you. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Hopefully we will have a follow-up on that story. Well, the province is asking consulting firm Deloitte to review its government-funded healthcare report, which was found to contain fake citations. The Independent first reported that the Health Human Resource Plan contains 4 citations possibly generated by AI. The former Liberal government paid Deloitte over $1.5 million for that report. In a statement to CBC News on Monday, the Department of Health says once Deloitte's review of its own report is complete, government will take the appropriate steps in responding to the issue. CBC News has asked Deloitte for an interview. NDP leader Jim Dinn says the voices of real people need to be prioritized.
Talking to the people on the front lines, including them in the decision making, if you're looking at HR, human resource issues, why people are not staying, why we can't retain people, what do we need to recruit, shouldn't we first be talking to the people on the front lines, to the unions that represent them? That's been very clear. So it is troubling, deeply troubling, to find that that reports on key areas, health and education, that they're being AI generated.
Now to news from the courts. The trial for accused sexual predator Tony Humby reached a milestone today as the final living complainant finished his testimony. The man began testifying last Thursday afternoon, but didn't show up the next morning. He said he'd only continue with his cross-examination if he didn't have to look at Humby. The lawyers reached an agreement today to have Humby sit in another room and watch by video. The man alleges he was abused by Humby on 4 occasions between the ages of 12 and 19. Humby's lawyer pointed out the man failed to tell police about the first alleged incident and says he forgot to tell the prosecutor about another incident during his direct examination. Trial continues tomorrow with testimony expected from several police officers. Well, shifting gears now, with just a month until Christmas, it's a busy time of year for nonprofits and charitable organizations. Demand for food and toy assistance is up in this province, but donations are down. The CBC's Jenna Head reports.
The holidays are just around the corner, and some nonprofits and charities across Newfoundland and Labrador are feeling the pressure as folks struggle to keep afloat with added holiday expenses.
We're seeing folks come to us looking for assistance who've never had to ask for help before.
At the Salvation Army's food bank in St. John's, 160 families receive food assistance every week, and Goodyear says that number will go up as the holidays get closer.
Last year, it was 2,300 families got Christmas hampers. I would anticipate that will go up.
The Community Food Sharing Association helps provide food to other organizations like the Salvation Army's food bank. General Manager Tina Bishop also says more people are asking for help.
Just because someone's income is at a certain threshold doesn't mean they're not struggling. Your rent has to be paid, your heat and light has to be paid, and really, when people are struggling, the only thing that they can draw from would be their money for groceries.
And at the same time, donations from the public are down.
People who used to be able to come give maybe a $20 donation every month, they're not able to do that anymore because their expenses have increased so much.
So when holidays like Christmas come around and that list for Santa is added to a growing grocery bill and monthly living expenses, nonprofits are filling the gaps.
Most of the food banks still do the traditional hamper with your turkey, vegetables, and then all the fixings to help you get through the day.
Those hampers, Bishop says, cost between $150 to $200, which she estimates is up about 50% from previous years. That's in addition to the regular food bank hampers. Bishop says this time of year the organization relies on donations from the St. John's Santa Claus Parade.
The food drive with Christmas Parade is really one of the biggest food drives for the year. And that's the food drive that we depend on to help get us through the holiday season and help us get through the winter months as well.
Then there are the toys. Both the Salvation Army and the Single Parent Association help make Christmas happen for families across the province. The Salvation Army has specific dates for families to register for food and toy hampers. The next dates are November 28th and December 5th. The Single Parent Association opened registration for their Christmas Magic program in October, and over 1,200 families registered almost immediately. That number has continued to grow.
It's just been a couple weeks, but a couple of weeks in normal time is very different than a couple of weeks in Spaniel time. So right now we actually hit 1,700 children that have registered to receive support this Christmas. That is actually more than double what we would normally do in any previous year for Christmas Magic.
Seward says registration will soon close because the association has already approved 950 families and isn't sure whether it will be able to help everyone who is already registered.
We are shipping packages to every nook and cranny you can imagine, right to the West Coast, the Northern Peninsula, and across Labrador. So certainly demand is not limited to just here in the St. John's area. What we're seeing is a trend that single-parent families are in need of support right across the entire province.
But times are tough even for donors, so where children once got $200 worth of gifts, they now receive $150 worth.
In our eyes, we would rather see more kids get a little less this year so that we're able to spread the Christmas magic a little bit further.
The Community Food Sharing Association, the Salvation Army, and the Single Parent Association are all currently looking for donations, with the collective goal of making sure everyone in Newfoundland and Labrador has a holly jolly holiday season. Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the 50th annual Labrador Creative Arts Festival is underway this week. It brings together students from all across Labrador to show off their writing and acting skills. Here Now's Daryl Din brings us that story.
Sunday night was the kickoff of the Labrador Creative Arts Festival. This year's theme is celebration, and there is a lot to celebrate. The festival turns 50 years old, and co-founder Tim Borlase is stepping down his chair of the festival. But he says it's not about him. It's always been about the students.
For me, that's the essence of the festival. The kids writing. We've had some fabulous artists that assisted at festivals, but it was the kids writing that really is the foundation for me of the festival and how they interpret something in their lives and want to show it and share it on stage.
Sunday night's opening show was Multicultural Night. With groups from across the country, Borlase wanted the event to reflect the local community as well.
For the new Canadians, in particular at this festival, the South Asian community and also the Filipino community, wanted them to feel that they could be part of this. So we invited artists from those areas to come.
For this special year, all of Borlase's family is coming.
They are all coming to see this festival from various parts of Canada.
And to make sure you're actually going to leave.
We're going to make sure that I announce I'm retiring.
Borlase is excited for the future of the festival.
The new board will define it. So that's an exciting part. It'll change. And I'll just got to be sure to keep my mouth shut. No.
The festival continues till Saturday, with each night having performances by students from across Labrador. Daryl Din, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Well, the weather today, a little bit unsettled. We saw some showers and flurries in some cases. That's pretty much what's going to happen as we head through the overnight tonight, especially across the island portion of the province. We will see some snow up across Labrador as well, mainly in the west, but wet snow the story for a good chunk of the island tomorrow. And then we've got some rain and snow late week again for parts of the island with some snow for parts of Labrador. I'll break the full forecast down for you coming up a little later.
It'll likely take a long time before all losses and damages in the area are known.
They want the aquaculture industry to stay where it is.
Residents here who had left while this was happening have been told they can't go back in.
Feeding wild animals might make you feel like you're helping the animals, but wildlife experts say you're doing more harm than good. And as Layla Baudouin reports, it can be dangerous and sometimes even deadly for the animals.
In this province, we are incredibly lucky to get up close and personal with nature, with walking trails like this one. But Parks Canada has a warning when it comes to wildlife. Getting too close can be deadly.
We have no way of knowing for sure, but it does look like it was struck by a vehicle.
Park manager Pascal Gourdon is talking about this fox. Loved by photographers and Signal Hill visitors, it was found dead near the road earlier this month.
Unfortunately, that's the very stark reality of what happens when foxes, can become too comfortable coming close to humans.
This incident isn't isolated. At the Port au Choix National Historic Site, the fox population is so tame, they stop drivers, begging for food and laying on the road as if it were a patch of moss.
Almost inevitably ends up as a death sentence for them. So, I mean, any wild animal that's being fed near roads or parking lots will lose their fear of those roads, and then there's a high chance of them being killed by motor vehicles.
In 2022, charges were laid after a food-conditioned fox and its baby were struck and killed on the highway in Grossmoor National Park. These shots were taken near that same park this summer, where hungry foxes continue to be fed near high-traffic zones. A spokesperson from the Parks Canada Port au Choix site says park wardens monitor the area, and they are gearing up to post large signs throughout the site next operating season, warning visitors feeding at disturbing animals is illegal. In Canada, wildlife fines go as high as $25,000. And the animals aren't the only ones facing potential danger from people feeding them. Sometimes they bite the hand that feeds them.
They wouldn't know the difference between small children or adults. And so this would eventually lead to the foxes being killed themselves. And it's a bit of a traumatic experience for the person that's bit as well. So
back in St. John's, Gurdon says she's seen visitors feeding foxes everything from McDonald's to pizza.
We have really seen it all. Yeah, French fries.
I don't know whether the signage can be improved to be a little bit more drastic to let people know that are there that they may think they're doing something nice, or maybe they don't care, but they need to really understand the implications of what happens every time that they feed a wild animal like a fox.
Park officials say the safer way to enjoy wildlife is watching them from a distance, taking pictures but not getting too close, and leaving your snacks at home. Leila Baudouin, CBC News.
Well, Ukrainian Day of Remembrance was marked in St. John's over the weekend. Members of the Ukrainian community gathered at the Basilica and lit candles to commemorate the Holodomor. It references a man-made famine that killed millions of Ukrainians in the 1930s. The executive director of the Ukrainian National Federation of Canada says this historic event takes on an even deeper meaning in light of the ongoing Russian attacks on Ukraine.
There are lessons embedded in history that are relevant, for today. And these lessons are everywhere in the Holodomor. It's about an identity that was, there was an attempt to squash it out. There was a people and an independence that was trying to be subverted. And it didn't work, but there was a huge amount to pay, a huge cost to pay for that. And that also needs to be honored.
All right, Ashley's here with a look at the forecast. It was a really nice weekend. A lot of rain, but but besides the rain, it was quite nice. There were some moments of sunshine and warm temperatures.
Yeah, there certainly was. You know, we did see that snow, though, through parts of Central, upwards of about 10 centimeters reported in some areas. So, yeah, everywhere saw a little bit of the different weather. But today, most of us were seeing those temperatures above zero and anywhere really from 3 to 7 degrees across the island. Up across Labrador, Lab West, anyway, sitting below zero, anywhere from about -2 to -3. But you head towards the coast and your temperatures were between 1 and about 3 degrees. This is even a little bit above where you should be sitting this time of year. Most of you should be sitting below the 0 degree mark. So right now, there's really not a whole lot going on. We're generally sitting under a ridge of high pressure. There are a few showers and flurries lingering across parts of the island, or should I say that are happening right now across parts of the island, and you can see that here, but nothing really significant, and there really won't be as we head through the night tonight. We are seeing the potential, though, for some more flurries. There's showers now because the temperatures are still mild for the eastern portion of the island, but temperatures are going to drop down tonight to near zero or even a little bit below. So we should see the potential for some flurries for most areas across the island. Labrador, your temperatures are now below zero for the most part, with the exception of Cartwright, where you're hovering around +1. But those temperatures, like I said, are going to continue to drop as we head through tonight. So the showers will change over to the potential for some flurries across the island. We may even see some partly to mostly cloudy skies up across Labrador, and maybe a few flurries in the mix, but that really won't be the story until we get into tomorrow morning for those of you in Lab West. That's where most of the action will be. Your temperatures will drop down to about -9 overnight tonight. The rest of Labrador between -2 and -6. And then again across the island, coolest temperatures will be in low-lying areas through Central, but overall somewhere between 0 and about -5 with generally light winds. Now towards the coast, coastal areas of Labrador, your winds will either be out of the west or southwest, and they'll be gusting somewhere between 20 to as much as 40 kilometers per hour. Now, as we look ahead to tomorrow, we'll see that flurry activity or light snow just skirting Lab West tomorrow, and then that will eventually head towards the island. Now, we're still going to see the potential for a few flurries in the morning, really for parts of the island, but there will be some sunshine in the mix. By the time we get to lunchtime, most of you on the west coast will be seeing either some flurries or even some wet snow in the mix there, and then some showers likely right towards the coast, and that will be the story really for the southwest and southern areas of the island. By the time we get to supper hour, most of Central and the west coast will be seeing some of that wet snow as well, and then as we head east towards the Avalon, a couple of hours certainly possible tomorrow night. And again, some of this wind may be either just some showers or some wet snow. I don't anticipate too much in the way of accumulation for the Avalon, but you could pick up a quick couple of centimeters in some of the highest elevations. That will be the story for the west coast of the island as well before we see that end, like I said, in the evening, and then your showers or flurries generally continuing through the overnight, very scattered showers and flurries. So higher elevations on the west coast, like I said, could pick up somewhere between 5 to 10 centimeters. I think that's max. The rest of the island will see potentially somewhere upwards of about trace to 2 centimeters of snow. But again, whatever does fall is not going to last long. That's for sure, because temperatures are definitely going to warm up. And then for those of you in Lab West, again, trace maybe 2 centimeters before that is all said and done. You can really see it play on the with the higher elevations there on the west coast, where that's That's where most of the anticipating most of the accumulation will be. Your daytime highs on the west coast will be a little cooler, anywhere from about 0 to 2 degrees. Westerly winds will be gusting around 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Now central, east, and the south coast between 2 and 4 degrees, and your winds will be out of the northwest, somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Labrador towards the coast, anyway, you'll be sitting around the 0 degree mark, and then for the rest of Labrador into the minus single digits. And there is some snow on the way in the long range forecast for you, and that should fall as rain for parts of the island, but I'll get into that a little later.
Well, first it was the Education Accord. Now another major government-funded report has been released containing fake citations. On the weekend, The Independent first reported that a policy report authored by the consulting firm Deloitte for the Department of Health contains fabricated citations which could be linked to the use of artificial intelligence. Now, the Department of Health has since confirmed that 4 of the citations in the report are incorrect and says Deloitte is reviewing those citations, but has not confirmed that AI was used. Now, in September, 15 fake citations were discovered in government's Education Accord, a major report laying out a 10-year roadmap for education. Now, the use of fabricated citations in these reports is a big red flag for the province's largest union. Jerry Earle, president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Association of Public and Private Employees, joins me now from Vancouver. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we don't know for sure that artificial intelligence was used in these reports, but we are seeing more and more examples of AI language models fabricating data in this way. What do you make of the fact that 2 government reports now used fake citations?
Carolyn, it's certainly concerning to us as a union and certainly to our membership that I'm hearing from. In the case of this latter one, both of these we've been involved in, one with education, now with ELF. This latter one is concerning that it is supposed to be a foundational document to do human resource planning, which we've been talking about now for a long time, the concerns in healthcare. And we rely on these private consulting companies to do this work for governments, here in Newfoundland, Labrador, and others. And it's, bottom line, it's quite concerning. We're going to be relying on this document to do for a roadmap, basically, for the human resource challenges in our public healthcare system.
Yeah, and you mentioned, these reports being foundational. These are 2 major and very expensive reports that are supposed to help guide decision makers on issues like recruitment, which affects your members, and also shape sectors like education and health. Do you trust these reports?
It certainly casts doubt, and I've been told and given assurances, and I have no reason not to believe that it doesn't impact the recommendations in the report now. But just with anything, as you cast doubt, as you cast uncertainty, people will start to question the reliability of these documents. Like you just said, these are very costly. It's the general public in Newfoundland and Labrador. I know when we say government pays for it, bottom line, it's taxpayers, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians that pay for this with their hard-earned money, and they expect solid foundational evidence upon which to base these decisions. So very concerning, and it undermines the trust in this overall document. Even though we're talking about 4 citations there, these citations on these documents are foundational to the recommendation. So I've heard from members now, and general public have stopped me on the street basically saying, well, what do you think of this, Mr. Earle? So obviously even the general public has concerns when they hear about this.
Mm-hmm. And to circle back to the AI factor in this, there are a lot of concerns, globally about AI taking jobs. And your membership has raised concerns about how artificial intelligence could be used in the workplace. What worries you most about this technology being used in our institutions?
There's a whole host of things. Number one, confidentiality, privacy, reliability. We've seen before when we had a major data breach in this one, Newfoundland Health Services, where a lot of data was accessed. Some of this technology is going to displace workforce, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, in case here. One that we're talking about is medical transcriptionists, for example, are going to be displaced by AI, where physicians that are looking after a person providing care to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are now going to be recorded AI and a document generated by that. I don't know about you, sometimes when recording a message, when you go back and look what AI have actually transcribed from what you said, there's certainly errors made. We're seeing in long-term care facilities now a reliance upon a module now where it looks or monitors patients. We always say, especially in frontline patient care, there's nothing more effective than a human and a human set of eyes that's looking after those people, not having a camera placed at the foot of a bed or whatever of a loved one, constantly recording. So just imagine the privacy relayed to somewhere in Ontario, and then relying on somebody in Ontario that's watching multiple facilities, getting back to a nursing unit and passed on to the practical nurse, or the personal care attendant, or registered nurse concerned. So there's all kinds of concerns here.
And these two reports were commissioned by the previous Liberal government,
Yes.
and we have a new government in place now, of course. What is your message to the new government about the use of artificial intelligence with reports, or just in general, like the examples that you were giving just then about medical transcriptions and in long-term care?
We have two upcoming meetings, one with the Minister of Health Community Service and one with the Premier himself. That will be part of our conversations, making sure we should learn by these errors, making sure now there are stringent guidelines in place that if a company, if a consulting firm is going to be using AI, that there be strong guidelines in place and a much better check. Because why did it take months now to find out, like I said, this is done under previous administration, why did it take this long to recognize these citations were fictitious? In this instance, on this report and the previous one. So having stronger criteria in place. So we'll certainly have that conversation with the Premier in a meeting that we have now scheduled, and another one with the Minister of Health Community Service. So these are one of the agenda items that we're going to be talking about, that if we're going to rely on this documentation to influence workforce planning, that stronger criteria that's totally transparent to everybody is in place before these reports are produced and relied upon.
Right, well, Jerry Earle, I really appreciate your time and your thoughts on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
provincial government has gone to the Supreme Court.
2 and sunshine in Deer Lake today.
A spokesman for the owners says a statement will be issued within a week.
Glad you could join us for Here and Now.
This is CBC.
A doctor from this province has spent the last month caring for patients in Gaza. Dr. Elise Thorburn is working out of a hospital in Gaza City, which has been the site of repeated airstrikes and explosions. Dr. Thorburn says she's been treating dozens of patients injured in airstrikes despite a ceasefire agreement. She spoke with the CBC's Jen White.
It's really hard being at home in Canada, witnessing a genocide happening and feeling totally helpless to do anything to stop it, despite 2 years of trying, of contacting MPs, of having protests, of raising money. Nothing that we've done has been effective. And I have medical expertise. I'm a trained emergency physician. And I know that Israel has consistently targeted doctors and the hospitals have been bombed. And that people are working sort of at the very end of their human limits. And so I felt compelled to go and help. And I have to say that coming here and being with the people here has been like the honor of my life. It is something that I feel so privileged to have been able to do and to have been welcomed so warmly by the Gazan people. And to stand alongside in solidarity with the doctors and nurses and lab techs and the cleaning staff who are working day and night in extraordinary conditions with the most limited amount of supplies and seeing the most horrific injuries I've ever encountered in my life, even during the ceasefire. To me, it was important to put my body on the line to show that I stand against this and I stand with the Palestinian people.
Can you describe for us some of the work that you've done there at the hospital?
So we work out of these tents. The floor is like concrete and dirt. There's, I think, about 12 beds in our emergency department. None of them have mattresses on them. They're just bed frames. So it's very Spartan. There's one monitor that we wheel around to each bed. And it's very often when we get mass casualties that we're treating people on the floor because there's just no space to put people. Like, we have 12 beds. 2 nights ago, we had 35 patients, injured patients, arrive to the emergency department all at once. Wow. So that you can't treat everyone in a bed. You're often treating people on the floor.
To deal with those situations with capabilities or with medical supplies on such short demand there, and dealing with, as you mentioned, such horrific conditions for these people, is it taking a toll on you as well, Elise?
I'm fine because I am very privileged. I'm a white person from Canada living here. I'm the last person Israel wants to target. But I think it's taking a toll on the people working here. I think it is extremely difficult for them, both in terms of like physical exhaustion. This is 2 years of this, of coming into work daily. And also many of them are not being paid. Or if they're being paid very little. So many people are working as volunteers and they're living simultaneously in tents. And those tents have dirt floors. They don't have electricity. They don't have heating. And it's winter now in Gaza, which, I'm not sure if we think about areas like this in the Levant being cold, but it gets cold, quite cold and rainy in the winter, and the tents are flooding.
Back in this province, the Rotary Club of St. John's has selected its Firefighter of the Year. Ken Roach was honored for his work supporting peers and training the next generation of firefighters. Here now's Henrika Wilhelm reports.
Every year, a firefighter of this province is honored by the Rotary Club of St. John's with the Firefighter of the Year award. One of the lucky recipients this year, Ken Roach with the St. John's Regional Fire Department, firefighter for 42 years.
I'm a people person. I like helping people.
And because that shines through in everything he does, he was nominated by 2 co-workers.
There's more to firefighting than responding on calls. It's the stuff that happens in our downtime at the station and on our days off when we're doing stuff for the community.
3 years ago, Roach and others started a peer support group at their department, lending an open ear to their fellow firefighters.
We meet with them individually and we just talk about everything but the call. and we talk about them as a person, and see how they are feeling, and also we say these are some of the things that we can do, and it's working really well.
They also give advice on where to seek professional help. Roach says since they started, more people have been reaching out.
In our stations now, we got the names of all the peer support people posted so that people can call us and no one else on the job knows that they're calling us. And we'll meet them at Tim Hortons, we'll meet them at their house, or just somewhere where no one knows that we're there, and then they really open up to us.
For the past 6 or 7 years, Roach has also helped arranging funerals for fellow firefighters, and he is involved in training the next generation.
First thing I tell them, like, what you're running into now, you'd never learn by reading a book. And what we talk about is, how things can change from one call to the next, and it's going to take years for them to get comfortable with being a firefighter.
It's for all his work on top of being a firefighter that Roach was honored at the annual award ceremony on November 20th, alongside Fire Lieutenant Paul McEvoy. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, a woman in St. John's is sharing a story of kindness, and that story begins with a thief breaking into her car and stealing her winter tires. Here now's Zach Gowdy explains.
I felt seen. I felt like I belong in a society of people that care. That was the feeling that I had.
That's a powerful feeling, and Ivy Oyekiri says it came from the kindness of strangers. Oyekiri moved to St. John's from Nigeria in summer 2023, so this will be just her second winter here. And this story starts when Oyekiri was getting ready for that most Canadian of winter rituals, getting her snow tires put on. Oyekiri loaded her tires in her car the night before her appointment at the garage, but when she came out the next morning, she saw her car had been broken into and the tires were gone. This was the second time her car had been robbed since moving here, and Oyekiri was dejected. In that moment, she posted about what happened on Facebook in a group called Skeets in the Streets, where people sometimes post about petty crime, among other things. She tried making a direct appeal to whoever took the tires, asking them to please bring them back, even offering to compensate the thief. But that's when Oyekiri says this story took a U-turn.
So I said my tires were stolen and I'm just a young girl trying to survive in this country. Why would somebody even do that to me? I never knew it was going to attract so many comments. Like, a lot of persons commented, they started reaching out to me, and to the extent they wanted to know the type of tires that was stolen. And I got about 8 or 9 messages, and eventually a car company reached out to me and said, what tires are they? And I said, this is the particular tire. And it was like, I can give it to you. You can have it installed at my place. But it was super fast and it just did everything for me. I was wondering, like, how and why Facebook is a platform where people post so many bad news or just random stuff. I didn't think that over $1,000 would come out from Facebook for me, because, I mean, if you want to get the 4 tires changed and the services, everything is going to be like $1,000, right? And yeah, that was it. I was super happy.
Oyekiri says she's learned never to leave her vehicle unlocked or anything valuable inside, but she's also learned there's a lot of kindness in this community. Sometimes you can even find it on Facebook. Zach Gowdy, CBC News, St. John's.
Hospital.
Princess Diana has been immortalized once again in wax form. The Greyville Museum in Paris unveiled a new wax statue of the late Princess of Wales. It had originally planned to produce a wax copy of Diana in 1996, but the project was put on hold after her death. She died in a car accident in Paris in August of 1997 when she was 36 years old. The museum's general director says they wanted to show a more glowing side of her in comparison to her wax statue at Madame Tussauds in London. For this reason, the museum chose to display her wearing her iconic black cocktail dress that she wore in 1994. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the long-range forecast. Some snow?
Yeah. For parts of the province, and some more rain on the way as well. I know we've been seeing a lot of weather, which is great because we need all of this rain for sure. But yeah, there's a little bit more on the way. Let's take a look at what's going on weather-wise. So Tuesday evening, we are going to continue to see tomorrow evening, we're going to continue to see some showers and or flurries. And then in behind that, as we head into Wednesday, most of the weather will actually quiet down. Now, there'll still likely be a few onshore flurries possible or even some showers on the west coast of the island. But for the most part, it is going to be a quiet start to your Wednesday, even some sunshine up across parts of Labrador. But then another little disturbance will likely bring some periods of rain late day on Wednesday, mainly affecting the south coast as well as eastern Newfoundland. So like I said, you'll see some sunshine to start the day, but as the day goes on, that rain will move in. And some of this rain could be fairly heavy at times, depending on exactly where we see that track. Overall, daytime highs on Wednesday will sit somewhere between 4 and 5 degrees. Across the island portion of the province, with the exception of the northern peninsula, you'll be into some of the cooler air, so you'll be sitting around -2 through the day with some sunshine, and then again up across Labrador as well. So temperatures for you will hover somewhere between 0 and about -4, and the potential for a few flurries, again, hanging around in Lab West. Now, as we look ahead to Thursday, like I said, late day, that rain will move through, but there is a chance now as the next weather maker moves in that we'll see some snow in the higher elevations on the west coast of the island. And then as another area of low pressure moves in, we will start to see some snow up across, starting really in Lab West, the potential for some snow, and then again, showers across the island portion of the province. Now, this weather maker will stick around as we head into Friday, so keep that in mind. Now, for central areas of Labrador and towards the coast, your snow will arrive late day on Thursday into early Friday morning. Temperatures will be on the cool side, 0 to about -7 across Labrador, 0 degrees for the northern peninsula, and then somewhere between 3 and 8 degrees, warmest temperatures being on the south coast through the day on Thursday. Long range forecast, like I said, we will see that rain continue pretty much through Friday with showers or flurries on Saturday for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland, but the sun will shine at some point on Saturday. And then for central and western Newfoundland, now central, you'll see temperatures a little warmer on Friday. For western Newfoundland, it'll be a little bit cooler. So there is a potential to see some snow there and even flurries lingering as we head into Saturday for the west as your temperature hovers around the 1 degree mark. And then for Labrador, overall, flurries or snow late on Thursday, as I said, for the east and even towards the coast, and that will continue at least through the first part of Friday. And Saturday, light snow will return as well. A little bit of a roller coaster ride for you. And then for western Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures sitting in the minus single digits with some flurries or light snow. Our weather photo of the day. Speaking of snow.
Oh, lots of snow.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you so much. This is in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Thank you so much for sharing your weather photos with us. If you have any you'd like to share with us, you can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, it is looking very pretty, though. A pretty snowfall there in Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Yep, it's time to get all the Christmas decorations out.
Yep.
It's going to be here before we know it. And then you're going to be like, why didn't I get it up?
Yeah, for sure. The earlier the better, because then you have longer to enjoy it.
That was my thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Have a good night.